What's up? What's up? It's your man Jimmy Chan. All right, let's get this going. So number one. All right, number one says that f of x is equal to the square root of x, and g of x is equal to 4x plus 8. And I want you to find the domain of f dot g, which means f of g of x. So what does that mean? That means it wants you to find f of 4x plus 8. So in other words, wherever the x is, you want to replace the 4x plus 8. Okay? Oops. Yep. So that means that the equation I'm actually looking at is, so the f dot g is actually equal to the square root of 4x plus 8. Okay? So I gotta find the domain of this. So what I know about square roots is that I can't take the square root of a negative number. So which means that this part right here that's underneath the radical, the 4x plus 8, has to be greater than or equal to 0. Right? Because I can take a square root of a 0, but I can't take a square root of a negative number. So that whole inside has to be greater than or equal to 0. So let's solve this. So I got 4x is greater than or equal to negative 8. Divide both sides by 4. So x has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, so if I was to draw this on the number line, and I have, let's say this is negative 2, I will have a closed circle pointed to the right. Right? So that's what I would have, which means that if I was to write this as an interval, it would be square bracket, negative 2, all the way to positive infinity. And that is choice C. And that would be my answer. There we go. All right, off to number 2. All right, number 2 says that gives me a point that wants my line to pass through is 5, 2, but it wants to be parallel to 9x plus y minus 5 equal to 0. Okay? So again, in order for me to write an equation of a line, I need a point, and 2, I need a slope. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what I have right here, what's given here, that's got to be parallel to that, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and get y by itself. If I get y by itself, I'll know the slope and y-intercept. So if I got to subtract the 9x over, I got to add the 5 over, so I got negative 9x plus 5. So the slope of this line, not my line, this line, is negative 9. So the slope that is parallel to this line is also going to be negative 9. So now my point I have is 5, 2. And my slope is going to be -9. So now I'm going to use this piece of information right here to write the equation of my line, the brand new line. Okay, so now I'm just going to forget what's over here on this side. This is no longer good anymore. Okay, I'm done with this. Okay, so now I'm going to focus on just what I have right here, and that's it. So I can use, y is equal to mx plus b, or you can use y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. All right, so I'm going to use y equals mx plus b, so I'm going to put in the y for the y, which is 2, the slope in for m, which is -9, the x in for x, which is 5, plus b. So 2 is equal to -45 plus b. So my b is going to equal to a positive 47. Okay? Awesome. So now I'm going to rewrite my equation with this b and my slope. So it's going to be y is equal to -9x plus 47. And that should be my choice C, and that would be my answer. There we go. Oops. Boom. And there it is. Okay? Now, the advantage of seeing the video is that you hear all of this. And not the rest. Okay? All right, off to number 3. There we go. Number 3 is asking you to find the rate of change. Okay, so the average rate of change. So in other words, or AKA, also known as slope. Okay? The only difference here is that it gives you an f of x, which is equal to -3x squared minus x. And it gives you an x sub 1. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? It gives you an x sub 1, which is equal to 5, and an x sub 2, which is equal to 6. Okay? So, now, don't forget, guys, that this so-called f of x here, all that is telling you is that this is your y. So if I plug in these x's, I'll get my y value. Okay? So, I'm going to find f. Okay, let me do it this way. When x sub 1 is equal to 5, I'm going to look for f of 5, which is equal to -3 times 5 squared minus 5. So my f of 5 is equal to -80. Okay? And when x sub 2 is equal to 6, I'm going to find f of 6, which is equal to -3 times 6 squared minus 6. So the f of 6 is going to equal to -114. And if you happen to make this mistake, here is the reason why you made the mistake. chances are, order operations, you're supposed to deal with the exponent first, which means that it would involve, let me undo that. Okay, so I got to deal with the x squared, which involves this piece first. So I have to do 5 squared and then multiply by the -3. And same thing here, I got to do 6 squared before I multiply by -3 and then subtract that 6, okay? So I have my x values, I have my y values, now I can find my slope. All right, so my average rate of change, which is equal to slope, is equal to -80 minus -114 all over 5 minus 6. Okay, notice I stayed in order and in being consistent. All right, so this is going to give me a positive 34 over of course it'll be crooked. Why wouldn't it be crooked? Over a -1, which is equal to -34. Now, could you have switched that? Absolutely. So the average rate of change is still going to be -34, and that's choice B. So that would be my answer. There we go. All right. So on to number 4. I have enough space to make number 4 happen. I'm going to guess the answer is a no. I'm going to have to turn a little AC here because I'm baking. All right, number 4. The inverse. All right. So I do not expect you guys to do it this way, but this is the way you're supposed to do it. So that this way, at least you guys get exposed to it. So it gives you 3 functions, right? It says f of x is equal to x minus 8 over 2. It gives you that g of x is equal to 2x minus 8. And it gives you h of x is equal to x plus 8 all over 2. Okay, and it wants to know if which one are inverses of each other. So what you're supposed to do is f of g of x, right, which is equal to f of 2x minus 8, which means I have to plug in 2x minus 8 into the f function. So I got to do 2x minus 8 minus 8 all over 2. So let me do this here. Maybe this will help you. So if I said that this was blue, if I said this was blue, and that means this is also blue, that means this is also blue. Okay, so this way you can see exactly what I did. So now what do I get? I get 2x minus 16 all over 2x minus 16 all over 2, which is equal to x minus 8, which is not g of x. Okay, now what I'm supposed to do, so now I got to do g of f of x. Okay, so I got to do f of g of x and g of f of x. That's what I'm supposed to do. So then I'm supposed to go, okay, so I'm going to do g of the x minus 8 all over 2. So what's that going to equal to? That's going to equal to 2 times this minus 8, which is my x minus 8 over 2. So what does that give me? That gives me x minus 8 minus 8, which is equal to x minus 16. Okay? So when I look at these two, since not the same, not inverse of each other. Then you go, okay, so now you basically put a bar here and say, okay, so let me get to the next piece here. And let's do, you know what? Let me put this better. Let me put it in math terms. Since f of g of x does not equal to g of f of x, they are not inverse of each other. Okay, so that would be a mathematical term, but that's your translation there. So with that being said, now I got to continue on and try I'm going to skip a little bit here. I'm going to call this right here red. Boom, there you go. So now let's find g of f of x. Okay, which means I'm doing g of x plus 8 over 2. So what does that equal to? That equals 2 times x plus 8 over 2 minus 8. So whatever h is, I'm going to plug it into g of x. So what does that give me? That gives me an x plus 8 minus 8, which gives me x. Now I got to do the opposite. The f of g of x. That means it's going to be f of 2x minus 8, which is going to equal to 2x minus 8 plus 8 all over 2. Okay? So what does that give me? That's going to give me a 2x over 2, which is equal to x. Okay, so look at that. They are the same. So, since g of f of x is equal to f of g of x, they are inverses of each other. that's being said, so that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be choice A. I'm not sure how I'm going to box this. Let's do that. Excellent. Let's move this A here a little lower. There we go. Then I can go this way. And then I can go this way. And there we go. There we go. All right. So that's number 4. On to number 5. Okay, number 5. So it wants me to find the inverse of f of x is equal to 5 over 7x minus 1. Okay? So what we know is that the f of x means y. So essentially we have y is equal to 5 over 7x minus 1. Okay? So let's do this. And let's do that. All right, so our first step in inverse is to switch the x and y. Okay, so what is going to happen now is that it's going to be x is equal to 5 over 7y minus 1. Now we have to solve for y again. So what I would do is multiply both sides. So let me do this really quick. Let me copy this and paste this right here. Okay. So what I need to do now, can I do this? Yep. So what I need to do now is I'm going to multiply both sides by 7y minus 1. Okay. So what I'm going to have now is x times 7y minus 1, and that's going to equal to 5. Okay, so if you look at that, I want to get y by itself again. Okay, so switch x and y, solve for y again. So the best thing to do is that I'm going to divide both sides by by x now. Okay, so now I'm going to divide both sides by x. So what do I get? I'm going to now get 7y minus 1 is equal to 5 over x. I'm still trying to get y by itself. So now I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I'm going to have 7y is equal to 5 over x minus 1 and divide by 7. And now I got to divide both sides by 7. So now I got y is equal to 5 over x minus 1 all over 7. So, let's see here. You know what? Let's do it this way instead. Let's do it this way instead. Let's go ahead and distribute that x. So now I'm going to have 7xy minus x is equal to just 5. So I want to get y by itself, right? So let's go ahead and add x to both sides. So now what I have here is 7xy is equal to x plus 5. Okay? Now, this actually works out better. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 7x. Right? So now I do have y by itself, and that's going to equal to x plus 5 all over 7x. Okay? And the question is that a choice? And the answer is, ew. Oh, that doesn't look like a choice. What do I do? Oh my goodness. Oh, wait a minute. I see some separated fractions, right? So could this be x over 7x plus 5 over 7x? If that is the case, would that be, it's like I'm a broken record here. Wouldn't that be 1 over 7 plus 5 over 7x? Let's see here. Oh, wait a minute. I do have that. Look at that. So now I'm going to replace that y with f negative 1 of x, which means inverse of f of x, is equal to, and the actual given, well, I'll just leave it as this. And that's going to be choice B. I had to look twice. There we go. All right. Okay, and that was number 5. We're on to number 6. What's all these graphs doing here? All right. These graphs are for later. Okay, so let's get to number 6 now. Okay, so now I gotta find the inverse of f of x is equal to x minus 5 to the third, right? So again, I have y is equal to x minus 5 to the third. I have to switch my x and y. So that means I have x is equal to y minus 5 to the third. Well, I got to solve for y again, so I got to get rid of that third. So to do that, I got to take the cube root of both sides. And that's going to give me, let me see, the cube root of x is going to equal to y minus 5. So that means y is going to equal to, which way do I want to write this? I can write this as the cube root, that's a bad cube root, of x plus 5. So that is going to be choice B. go. All right. Next is 7. Ooh, one of these is 7. Oh, you know what? I can't duplicate that. All right, so I don't need this one, and at least yet. Bring it down. I don't need this one yet. I believe I'm looking at this one here, so I'm looking at 7. Okay. Let me see, number 7. Yep, this is the one. So gosh. All right, this frustrates me. All right, so essentially, I know it looks kind of weird because I can't get it right. Get to at least, and move this over. Won't hop into place. Okay, all right. So if I was to look at these points, right? This point right here is -6, -4. Okay? This point right here is -4, 2. This point right here is -1, 1. And this point right here is 6, 6. And what I'm trying to find, so this right here, this current function with these points is my f of x. And I'm trying to find g of x, which is equal to -2 times f of x. Okay, so if I'm doing that, what this is showing right here, how about if I say it this way? Now, what I know is that f of x is my y. So this is essentially saying -2 times my y. See that? It's -2 times my y. So if that's the case, awesome. Then that's what I'll do. So I'm going to take, do I have enough space? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this point here and take the y and multiply it by 2, which is going to give me now a new point, -6, -8. Then I'm going to take this point here, -4, 2 times 2, just the y value. So my new point is going to be -4, 4. Then I'm going to take this point here, -1, 1, and multiply the y value by 2. So what do I get now? I get -1, 2. And now I'm going to take this 6, 6, and take the y value and multiply by 2. So now I get a 6, 12. So now these are my new points. So I'm going to plot those points, and the question is, where am I going to be? So if I plot -6, -8, it is now going to be -6, -8. It's now going to be here. Okay, -4, 4. Gotta move these points So negative 4, 4 is now going to be here. And negative 1, 2 is now going to be right here. And 6, 12 is going to be right here. So now this would be my new graph. So that graph right there is going to be choice C. So let me do this. Of course it would do that. Why wouldn't it do that? There we go. So that is going to be choice C. So these are my new points. There we go. All right. So any of these transformations, if you just grab the points and do what you're supposed to do with it, you're going to be just fine. All right. So now we're on to 8. All right. So number 8, it wants this graph right here, which is x squared. Okay. So if you look at that, you can see some points, right? So let's take some points here. This is a graph of x squared. So you got 0, 0. I have negative 1, 1. I have 1, 1. And I have 2, 4. And I also have negative 2, 4. Okay? So this is f of x is equal to x squared. So what I need to do now, I need to do the function the h of x is equal to negative x minus 7 squared plus 2. Okay? And I have to do this in order of operations. So the first thing I have to do is this right here, which if you notice, it affects the x. Okay? So this is what affects the x. So I got to do inside the parentheses here. All right? So what does that tell me? So I have the points negative 2, 4, negative 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. Okay? All right. So what happens? X minus 7 is going to move right. So let me do it this way. And say that x minus 7 move right 7 units. So if I'm moving right, that means my x value moves 7 to the right, which means I got to add 7 onto the x value. So add 7 to x value. Okay? All right. So if I got add 7 to the x value, Let's see what I get. So let me do this. Awesome. Move it over here. Let me duplicate that, put it over here. Duplicate that, put it over here. Duplicate that, then put it over here. And duplicate that, then put it over here. There we go. All right. So my new points now are going to be, I got add 7 to the x. So the -2 plus 7 is going to be a 5. The y stays the same. The -1 plus 7 is going to give me a 6. The y stays the same. The 0 add 7 is 7, and the y stays the same. The 1 add 7 is 8. The y stays the same. The 2 add 7 is 9. The y stays the same. Okay? So that's what I got to do. All right? So let me move these a little bit further down here. That's not until the very last. All right. So that's what I'm supposed to do. So you know what? Let me do it this way here. Move this down. Ah, shoot. Undo. So this right here is the first thing I had to do. I got it. I know exactly what I need to do. Okay, so there we go. All right, so what's the next thing I have to do? The next thing I have to do is not the squared, but so I did the parentheses, right? The squared is already taken care of by the graph. It's x squared. Now I got to take care of the negative, because inside the parentheses, exponent is already taken care of, and then I got to take care of multiplication before the addition. So I got to multiply by -1. But the question is, what am I multiplying by -1? So if I was to write this as -x squared, right? So the x is being squared, and that would be my f of x. So this essentially, how about if I even put it this way? X squared is f of x, right? And I'm going to negate it. So that means I'm negating the f of x. F of x is also known as my y, so I'm actually negating my y value. Okay? All right. So I'm going to do, let's pick a different color. Let's go blue. So the negative x minus 7 squared. Okay? So I'm really focused on just that negative now. Okay? Okay. So, oh man, I should have done it that way, huh? Should have all of that in orange. And then there we go. Now you see the negative is in blue. Okay, so I'm taking these points right here and I'm going to negate the y value. So let me draw these lines here. Oop. All right. So what does that negative mean? It means to reflect over the x-axis. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to negate the y value. Okay, so now my 5, 4 is going to become a 5, negative 4, because the 4 was positive, now it's negative. The 6, 1 is now going to be 6, negative 1. The 7, 0 is now going to be 7, negative 0. No, it's just 7, 0. The 8, 1 is now going to be 8, negative 1. And my 9, 4 is now going to be 9, negative 4. Okay, so all the y values that were positive, it becomes negative. If there was any negative y values, it would become positive. Okay, so that is what I would do there. Now what do I do? Okay, so let's pick a different color. Let's go purple. Okay, so now we got the plus 2. Okay, so now I have the negative x minus 7 squared plus 2. What does a plus do to? The plus 2 is also affecting the y value because it's outside that parentheses. All right, so what I'm going to do is move up 2 units. So what am I doing? Add 2 to the y value. Okay? Okie dokie. So I'm taking these points, these new points I just made. Okay? And I'm going to just add go. So I'm going to add 2 to the y value. Alright, so now my new points are going to be, it's going to be 5, comma, if I add 2 to negative 4, I get 5, negative 2. Add 2 to negative 1, I get 6, positive 1. Add 2 to 7, 0 be 7, 2. Add 2 to negative 1, I get 8, 1. And add 2 to that negative 4, I get 9, negative 2. So there's my new points right there. And that is everything that I needed to do. So whichever graph gave me those points, right, will be it. Okay, so which one gave you those points? That would be choice B. You must think that my line that I drew was so straight. It's like, ooh, I don't know what to do. All right, let me add another picture here. There you go. Add that. There we go. Because number 8 is the same, right? All right, so let's go to number 8. All right, so those are still my points, okay? All right, so I'm starting with those points. But this time, so this is still f of x is equal to x squared, all right? Oh, that wasn't 8. I'm looking for 9. I'm riding the struggle bus here. Actually, I'm just gonna do this. Let's try this. 9. Yay. All right, So again, I have those points. So I'm going to cheat again. Well, not really cheat, but I'm going to take this. And I'm going to bring it down. But more importantly, I have to write down h of x here. The h of x, or the g of x, I'm sorry. The g of x I'm looking for. Negative 1/3 of x plus 7 squared minus 2. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with the x plus 7, right? So what does the x plus 7 do? Well, that is gonna move left 7 units. Okay, so what's that gonna do with these points? If I'm moving left 7 units, I'm going to subtract 7. From x. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, so here we go. Let's subtract 7 from the x. So negative 2/4. If I subtract 7 from the x, my new point is going to now be a negative 9/4. Subtract 7 from negative 1, I get negative 8/1. Subtract 7 from the x, I get negative 7/0. Subtract 7 from 1, I get negative 6/1. And subtract 7 from a 2, I get negative 5/4. All right, cool. So that's the first thing. Next thing is multiplying. I did that in blue, so I'm going to do that in blue. So there's the blue. So now I have the negative 1/3 times x plus 7 squared, right? All right. So what happens with that? All right, so in other words, I would have to multiply y by a negative 1/3. Okay, so if that's the case, let me go ahead and copy this, duplicate, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, 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 down. There we go. All right, so what's going to happen? I'm going to multiply my y by negative 1/3. So now my new points are going to be negative 9, comma, negative 4/3. Negative 8, comma, negative 1/3. And the negative 7, comma, still 0. The negative 6, comma, 1/3. Oh, negative 1/3, sorry. And my negative 5 is now going to be comma, negative 4/3. So if you look on the graph, it's going to also flip it over the x-axis, but also at the same time basically making it narrower, thinner, skinnier. Okay? Now, last but not least, that's way too dark. Now we're going to deal with the minus 2. So now I have the negative 1/3 x plus 7 squared minus 2. So what does that do? Move up 2 units. So what do I do? Subtract 2 from the y. Ooh-wee! All right. Now we got to do some math here. All right, let me copy this over here. I know it's not very fair that I'm doing this. All right. So if I subtract 2 from negative 4/3, that would be subtract 2, the base is 3, so it would be 6/3. So I'm subtracting 6/3. Subtracting 6/3 would be negative 10/3. This would be negative 8, and that's going to be minus 6/3, so it's minus 7/3. And this is going to be negative 7, still going to be, oh, subtract 2, sorry. So that's going to be negative 2. This is negative 6, subtract 6/3 is going to be negative 7/3. And negative 5, subtract 6/3 is going to be negative 10/3 again. Okay, so if you compare this to your graph, what you're going to see is that this is going to be choice D. Hey, get back over here. Hey. I guess I would just have to do this way. Boom. There we go. All right. Last but not least, number 10. We're here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. So this one wants you to find inverse. Well, if you look on these graphs, there's some readable points. Well, let me try to make it a little more readable. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look. So this point right here is negative 3, 0. This point right here looks like 1, 2. And this point right here looks like 6, 3. Okay? All right. So if I did that, let me write that down. Negative 3, 0. 1, 2. And 6, 3. Okay? So, how do you find inverse? Switch your x and y. Well, if you switch x and y, what do you get? Well, great question. Let me draw this. Let me duplicate this and put it down here. Duplicate this and put it down here. Okay, so what do I get? 0, negative 3. 2, 1. And 3, 6. Literally, switch them. Switch the x and the y. So that's exactly what I did. So now I have 0, negative 3. I have 2, 1. And I have 3, 6. So that means my graph would look something like that. Okay? So that would be my inverse. And I believe that is choice number, or choice letter D. There we go. Why can't you shrink any? Okay, undo. Let's try this again. There we go, that'll work. We'll call that. And there you go. Well, I hope that if you have any questions, let me know. Talk to you later. See ya. Bye.